Hello, this is the Council on Independent Fundamental Bible Doctrine. I'm doing my next video in the Amazing Word series. It is titled Unknown Wildlife. There are passages in the Bible that clearly describe, even dinosaurs are in the Bible, clearly described. And so we're going to look at some of those passages today and see that there is wildlife written in the Bible and described in the Bible that science did not discover till thousands of years later. So that's kind of what we're looking at in this passage, or in this video. Let's go ahead and get started. Job 40, 15 through 24, one of the best books for this kind of stuff because it's one of the oldest. This passage is a great description of a dinosaur, as is the next one, which we have in the Bible. But you can also find other descriptions of dinosaurs, like in Marco Polo's writings about the great beasts he's seen, which you can find on the internet. It's also a good description of some dinosaurs. It is funny that now many are trying to say Marco Polo never made his journey in hopes to discredit his writings due to the dinosaur descriptions. I find this comical that whether he went or not, he still wrote perfect descriptions of dinosaurs, which he had seen, okay? So it doesn't change anything about the descriptions. He's seen them and described them. Alexander the Great depicted dinosaurs in his writings. They were not called dinosaurs because the word had not been coined yet. At that time, they were called dragons or serpents. The clincher for me, though, and there are many others in the passage, is in verse 17, where it says, "The tail is like a cedar." Okay, the evolutionists have hated this part of the description because they are regularly trying to say it is a description of like an elephant or a rhino or a hippo, one of the large animals we have today. But God in his infinite wisdom gave the current huge animals that are on the earth today some of the smallest tails in existence. I mean, dogs' tails are bigger than those animals' tails. And he was probably laughing at the evolutionists when he did it. There are no other animals in all history except dinosaurs, none anywhere or any time period, that have had a tail like a cedar tree. This can only be a dinosaur. It could not be any other animal. Other descriptions in the passage include his bones are like great bars of iron. He drinketh up a river. Okay, that means, he can put his head down, okay, and from one end of his mouth to the other, okay, covers from one side of the river to the other. You see, he passes through snares and traps with just the tip of his nose. Okay, it's clearly the description of a dinosaur. Okay, it can't be anything else, and the tail is just a super clincher. Okay, there is no tails like a cedar tree on any animal except a dinosaur. Job 41, 1 through 34. This also is a description of a dinosaur. The entire chapter 41 is dedicated to the description of this dinosaur. It is a beautiful writing. I would encourage everyone to read it. It points out that no hook is going to catch this one. Okay, verse 1 and 2. No spear will go into his head. Verse 7, men fall down from just looking at him. Verse 9, he cannot be harnessed. Verse 13, one should note that crocodiles are caught by humans in ropes and such all the time. So it's not a croc. His teeth are terrible and roundabout, so they go all the way around like a crocodile's or so. Similar. Verse 15 and 17 says he has scales that are very close together, characteristic of a reptile dinosaur. His eyelids are like the eyelids of the morning. Find that interesting because eyelids are made different for animals that can go out of the water or in the water. Verses 26 and 27 again communicate that no spear, sword, or javelin can take him. He esteems iron as straw and bronze as rotten wood. Okay, so, there's no croc that's going to bite through a metal spear. Okay, that's, verse 30 says, sharp stones are under him. He spreadeth sharp, pointy things upon the mire. So basically, he has sharp scales on his underside that leave sharp indentations. Like when he slides along the mire of the mud on the shore, once it dries, the mud becomes sharp. Note that crocs don't have sharp scales on their underside. Okay, crocodiles don't have that. This is in all probability something like Saccocircus, okay, which was basically a giant armor-plated crocodile like Dinosaur that has very tight scales the size of shields. Interestingly enough, just like the passage says. It is in the mud on the shore and under the water. Further is the nose. Science has not yet determined why it had such a large cavity towards the end of its snout. Job tells us in verse 18 and 21 and 31 through 32, which is my personal favorite. Wait till you read this one. It is a beautiful imagery. Okay, just beautiful imagery. You see, if something is a myth or not true or didn't really exist, then not every continent would have legends of the same thing. Okay, but there are dragon legends on every continent, recorded by most every people on earth. Legends of giant lizards, which ancient people called dragons. And just before the 1900s began, were called dinosaurs. Note that they are all giant reptiles. Many ancient cultures had stories of great dragons that breathed fire. And as you see this passage, this dinosaur breathed fire, even under the water. So all those myths about fire-breathing dragons, they came from this dinosaur or one of the other dinosaurs in the Bible that the Bible mentions breathed fire. There was a winged one in the prophets, I believe. Take the time to read this writing. I'll put it on here. The imagery is breathtaking and the words beautiful. It's kind of like the bombardier beetle of today that has the chemical glands that mix them and fires explosive gases out its backside to ward off frogs from eating them. If a beetle can have glands that produce and mix chemicals that create gas explosions, then a giant reptile could very easily have glands that mix chemicals and produce fire. Science tries to tell you that man and dinosaurs did not exist together, but these writings, as well as several ancient drawings, pictures, pottery, tapestries, statues, rugs, and all kinds of other stuff, tell us that giant reptiles were legends in most every ancient culture on Earth, which would not have been the case if they were not real and had not been seen by someone. Okay? There's a Mesopotamian slate, however you want to say that word, slate, that is dated over 1800 BC, before Christ, that has pictures of sauropod dinosaurs on it. And these are Mesopotamians, Egypt type area. These people were top of the line when it comes to being good at art. This is not a cave drawing, though there are cave drawings as well. There is no mistaking it. There is a cylinder seal at the Louvre in Paris that has a long-necked dinosaur on it. There's no mistaking it. Read the history of Herodotus and the winged serpent event. No mistaking what he is describing. There is an American Indian pottery piece that has been dated to about 12,000 AD, or 1200 AD, excuse me, over 750 years before the first dinosaur bone was discovered and the word was invented. This pot has a handle that is clearly a replica of a dinosaur. No mistaking it. There is also a European burial tomb that has cast metal with images of dinosaurs stamped on them. They are at the Carlisle Cathedral in Cambria, England. The stamps or carvings are in brass. They're on a, I believe they're on a burial marker. One of the former religious leaders of that era is buried there. So they know exactly what date it was made, and it was made long before the discovery of any dinosaur bones. And it has dinosaur pictures on it. So, look them up on the internet yourself if you want. These are very clearly dinosaurs. There are ancient pictures of dinosaurs as well as stone carvings all over the world. And they are not just in one culture, but they span the whole globe. They could not have been imagined, or they would all be imagining the same thing. If I imagine a flying, man-eating peanut butter and jelly sandwich with antenna and chicken legs, if it's not real, I am probably going to be the only one that imagines it. Definitely not every continent in the world. But if something is real and has been seen by many peoples in many cultures, then you find what we have today. Many cultures with the similar legends of the same creatures. Why? Because somewhere down the line their ancestors seen them. This is another point of which science chooses to be willingly ignorant. Look at the pictures on the slates and the pottery and the statues and the tapestries, and you decide if dinosaurs and people lived at the same time. Look at the pictures. Evolutionists look at the pictures and just decide not to believe with the proof right in front of them. Kind of like all the seashells on the mountaintops and the fish and ocean fossils on the mountaintops, and they say there's no flood. Same thing. All right. Here is the passage. I'm just going to read you part of it. You can pause it and read the whole thing if you want to. But he maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. He maketh a path to shine after him. One would think the deep to be hoary. Okay? It's like he's visually given you this beast is going down into the depths of the ocean, and you can see this trail of faint light as he's fire. He's wanting to see further, so he's like flaming up. And the trail of it is going down. It's a beautiful passage. Some great imagery there. Some really interesting stuff. But anyway, you can read it, pause it if you want to. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.